All right, so I'm here with Dr. Doug Metter. He teaches micro economics, macroeconomics, and environmental economics. And I'm just going to ask him here about some of the environmentalism changes throughout his lifetime.
Uh, there's a greater awareness than what there used to be. I was a senior in high school for the first Earth Day in 1970, and prior to that time, there was just all sorts of pollution. I lived about 15 miles away from an industrial district, and a lot of days you'd wake up and you could smell the chemical plants and whatnot. You definitely could see a haze as you would look from the suburb where I was towards the inner city. Some days there'd be a haze. You know, there was no such thing as recycling. Nobody ever thought of it. Uh, you just take soda cans and whatnot and just throw them in the trash. If you're down at the lake, just throw them in the water, make sure they sink. Um, and no concern whatsoever. And since that first Earth Day, things have changed a lot. Um, we have recycling, we have curbside recycling. It's growing in acceptance. We still have quite a ways to go, but just in aware, and the air is a lot cleaner than what it used to be. So we still have quite a ways to go, but there's been significant changes that I've seen in my lifetime.
When did you kind of start to see like the air change and that type of stuff happen? Was there like a specific time frame or like a event or any kind of regulation that got passed that caused companies to start doing things a little bit more differently?
I moved away after I graduated from high school, a couple of years after I graduated from high school. And, oh, probably 1975, 1976, just going back to visit family and friends in the Kansas City area, and the air had cleaned up quite a bit. I mean, they had passed a lot of legislation. I mean, the 1970s were basically a decade of lost productivity because the majority of business spending was going into pollution remediation. So, bag houses, scrubbers on chimneys, things like that. That was the first big emphasis was just, cleaning up the emissions coming from factories. And that was noticeable within, well, like I said, by 1975, 1976, there's a noticeable difference, at least in the Kansas City area there was. So,
Cool. So, I mean, as an economics professor, it's probably been pretty interesting to see how business has developed a little bit off of the whole green green awareness type thing.
mm-hmm.
How businesses have made an effort to change around that, and then new businesses have probably started because of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, businesses did not respond until customers forced them to.
Hi, I'm sorry.
So, I'm interviewing.
Have you heard about the car?
Yeah.
Is it ready or?
Yeah.
All right, I'll wait for you.
Okay.
Where do you want me to wait
Just
for you?
should be a chair right there.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't worry
okay,
about
so yeah, businesses were basically, they didn't pay any attention to any of this until they were either forced to by the federal government. Then they did that, but then the real impetus came once consumers started, making their voices heard, and that didn't come until, gosh,
more recently, right?
90s, yeah, the late 90s probably. Um, it's interesting that Walmart is the least concerned of any major corporation about what consumers think, or and even shareholders. I mean, they're just in it to make money. But the very first action they took of corporate responsibility was in the direction of environmentalism because of all the pressure that was being put on them by their shareholders, and to a smaller degree from customers, but their shareholders really started putting pressure on them to be more environmentally aware. So it's been a combination of both consumers wanting more environmentally responsible products. The biggest plus has been when shareholders have begun to say, we want the company we own to be more environmentally responsible.
Mm-hmm. Have you also seen like a increase in like appreciation? Do you think of nature? Because I feel like I've seen that just in my lifetime. How as younger kids and stuff, and as we get older, we appreciate the beauty of nature and that type of stuff more. Do you think is that
Uh,
increase along the path as well?
it's, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I grew up really active in Boy Scouting, so it's like I appreciated, was taught to appreciate nature both by them and by my dad, uh, from a really early age. Are there more people that appreciate nature now than what there was, in previous decades? Uh, yeah, maybe. I
Not
don't
necessarily
know.
though.
It's,
Okay.
yeah,
I was more curious about that myself.
yeah.
Um,
That's a harder one for me to
Yeah.
judge because I haven't ever, looked for that sort of thing or tried to notice that sort of thing. There's no market implications, so
right. Not economics.
yeah.
So that I think concludes most of my interview here with Dr. Metter. Thank you, Dr. Metter.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the time.
Glad to. Anytime.
Yep.